Dear students, welcome back to the lecture series of Design of Hydraulic Structures. With our previous lecture, we came to the end of our fourth module. This is our lecture number 4. From here onwards, we are starting our new module, that is fifth module. If you refer our syllabus of Design of Hydraulic Structures and look into the details of our fifth module, the major topics coming under fifth module are arch dams, earthen dams, spillways, and energy dissipation below spillways. These are the major portions included in fifth module. With this lecture number 4, we are starting the first topic of fifth module, that is arch dam. Under the topic arch dam, we are going to explain the different types of arch dams, methods of design of arch dam. Among the different methods, the very important method, thin cylinder theory, that we are going to discuss, and at the end we are going to discuss the limitations of thin cylinder theory. Coming on to the details of arch dams, an arch dam is curved in plan. In the fourth module itself, I told you the difference between an arch dam and a gravity dam. In an arch dam, the major part of water pressure carries to end abutments by arch action, while in case of a gravity dam, the major part of water pressure was carried by the self weight of the dam. That is actually the difference between an arch dam and a gravity dam. So here in arch dam, the water pressure and concerned force of water is carried to the end abutments of an arch dam by arch action. The amount of load transfer, that means the amount of water pressure to be transferred, depends upon the curvature of the dam. Then you know that after transferring the major part of water pressure by arch action, the balance load is transferred to the foundation of the arch dam by cantilever action. This is the typical plan of an arch dam. You can see for every dam there will be an upstream phase and a downstream phase. See, this is the outer surface of the arch dam. So that is the outside curve where the upstream of arch dam is located. Means water is stored at the upstream direction. You can see the flow of direction of water. See, this is the direction of river, and water is stored at the upstream portion of the arch dam, and this is the downstream portion of the arch dam. So understand the difference between the upstream phase and downstream phase of an arch dam. This is the upstream phase where water is being stored, and this is the downstream phase to which through spillway we will take water outside. In connection with this arch, there will be an imaginary center of arch dam, and corresponding to center there will be curvature or radius to the arch. These are the basic features of an arch dam. Also, there will be central angle of an arch dam. See, this is the central angle. This is the curvature or radius of arch dam, and this is the upstream phase where water is stored, and this is the downstream phase. Now let's move on to the different types of arch dam. There are three different types of arch dam. First one is constant radius arch dam. In constant radius arch dam, there will be constant radius to the upstream face of the dam. For example, if you see this figure, this is a typical example for constant radius arch dam. In this constant radius arch dam, see, this is the upstream face of the dam. Then for a constant radius arch dam, the radius to this upstream face at every place will be same. This radius will be same here also, and here also, here also, everywhere the radius is same. That is why it is called a constant radius arch dam. Also, for constant radius arch dam, the arch centers and center lines lies on a straight vertical line. Since the arch centers are common, it is also called a constant center arch dam. The second one is variable radius arch dam. From the name itself, you can infer that for a variable radius arch dam, the radius of extradose and intradose vary at various elevations. Extradose and intradose may be new term for you. Extradose means simply it is the upstream phase, and intradose means it is the downstream phase. So outer side is called extradose and inner side of an arch dam is called intradose. Again, let's see the definition. For a variable radius arch dam, the radius of extradose and intradose means radius to both upstream and downstream face of the arch dam is varying. That is why it is called variable radius arch dam. And the radius will be maximum at top and minimum at bottom of the arch dam. Since the centers of this variable radius arch dam is varying, it is called variable center arch dam also. You see this figure, this is a typical example of variable radius arch dam. You can see that the radius to extradose and intradose is varying at every point. So the imaginary center of the arch is actually varying from here. This is the arch center, then arch center is varying. Here also arch center is varying. Since the arch center is varying, this variable radius arch dam is also called variable center arch dam. So this is the second type of arch dam. And the third type of arch dam is called constant angle arch dam. This is a typical or special case of variable radius arch dam. From the previous session, you know that for a variable radius arch dam, the radius to outer side and inner side, that is extradose and intradose is actually varying. But in constant angle arch dam, even though the dam is a variable radius arch dam, the central angle of the horizontal arches are of same magnitude. You see this figure. This is a typical cross section and plan of constant angle arch dam. See, this is the outer face or extradose, and this is the inner face or intradose. You can see that the radius to extradose and intradose at each of the section is going to vary, but still there is a constant angle, and that constant angle value theta is equal to 133 degree 34 minute. Since this angle theta is constant everywhere, this dam is called a constant angle arch dam. Now I will tell you the importance of this particular angle 133 degree 34 minute. For a minimum volume concrete arch dam, the central angle must be 133 degree 34 minute. The derivation for this particular case you will see in the upcoming session of thin cylinder theory. So for a constant angle arch dam, it's a type of variable radius arch dam with constant angle, and for minimum volume of concrete, that constant angle should be 133 degree 34 minute. Now it's a comparison between variable radius arch dam and constant angle arch dam. This is a comparison based on the amount of concrete used for the construction of variable radius arch dam and constant angle arch dam. For the construction of variable radius arch dam, 58% of concrete is required, that for a constant radius arch dam, while in case of a constant angle arch dam, only 42.6% of concrete is required, that used for the construction of a constant radius arch dam. From this statement, it is very clear that in concrete consumption point of view, it is always better to construct a constant angle arch dam among the different types of arch dams. Now let's move on to the next portion, that is methods of design for arch dams. There are three different methods. First one is thin cylinder theory, second one elastic theory, and the last one trial load analysis. In syllabus point of view, we have to discuss only the first one, that is thin cylinder theory. The basic principle of thin cylinder theory is that the stresses in arch are assumed approximately equal as in a thin cylinder of equal outer radius. I will read again, you follow me. Stresses in arch are assumed approximately equal as in the case of a thin cylinder. That is why the methodology called thin cylinder theory of equal outer radius. Equal outer radius means, you know that if you take an arch dam, this is the outer face. For equal radius to the outer face, the dam is called constant radius arch dam. So in most of the case, The thin cylinder theory is applicable to constant radius arched dam. You consider the figure of a constant radius arched dam. This is the upstream phase and this is the downstream phase, where r is the radius to the outer face. Since it is a constant radius arch dam, the radius at all the sections will be equal to the extrados of the arch dam. And this is the imaginary center of the arch dam, and this is the central angle. If you divide the whole arch equally, then this half angle will be theta by 2 and this angle will be theta by 2. You know that due to arch action, there will be reactions at the end abutments. See, this is the reaction at the end abutment and this is the reaction at other end abutment, and the reaction formed at that place will be perpendicular to the surface. So this reaction will be perpendicular to this surface. Also, if you solve, you know that this is angle theta by 2, and if you solve, the reaction makes angle 90 minus theta by 2 with the vertical. So this angle will be 90 minus theta by 2. Similarly, this angle will also be 90 minus theta by 2. And you can see that small p is the, see, this is the extrados, so that is the upstream direction where water is stored, and small p indicate it is the intensity of water pressure. From gravity dam equation, you know that intensity of water pressure can be calculated using equation W into small h, where W is the unit weight of water and small h is the height of the water. Another notation is capital L, where capital L is the projected length of the extrados, or the projected length of the outer surface is called or denoted by capital L. Now let's see the different notations. You know that small r, it is the average radius of arch dam. Theta, it is the central angle, and capital R is the reactions at end abutments. This is capital R and this is capital R. Now another new term, that is small t, it is the thickness of the dam. If you take this figure, this is the thickness of the arch dam. This is the thickness of the arch dam. At the end of the thin cylinder theory, we are going to calculate the equation for this particular thickness of the arch dam. And I told you the intensity of water pressure that is being exerted at the extrados. So intensity of water pressure, small p equal to W into H. Now the total horizontal force PH due to water, the total horizontal force due to water pressure will be equal to, every time if you want to calculate the force, you want to multiply the intensity with area. Here WH is the intensity. See, WH is the intensity, and the projected area means, see, this is the projected length. So projected length into width will give you projected area. So if you take the half of the portion, you know that this total is capital L. Then half of the portion will be L by 2. And this angle is theta by 2. If you take the sine component, sine theta by 2 will be equal to opposite side L by 2 divided by hypotenuse, that is r. So you will get this particular distance L by 2, and similarly this L by 2 will be same here also, and you can see that distance is L by 2 plus L by 2, so you will get 2r sine theta by 2. That is actually 2r sine theta by 2 is actually the projected length in terms of theta, and if you consider to be a unit width of arch dam that we are analyzing, then the area will be this projected length into unit width 1. So you will get the horizontal force due to water, this intensity of water pressure into projected area. Here there will be a 1. So it is WH 2r sine theta by 2. Now the vertical component of end abutments will be equal to, you know that this is the reaction at end abutment and this is the reaction at end abutment. This reaction is having a horizontal component and a vertical component. This is the horizontal component of R and this is the vertical component of R, and you know that this angle is 90 minus theta by 2. So if you take this component, it will be R cos in bracket 90 minus theta by 2. R cos 90 minus theta by 2 means it will be R sin theta by 2. Similarly, this vertical component also will be R sin theta by 2. So if you take the sum of vertical components, R sin theta by 2 plus R sin theta by 2 will give you 2R sin theta by 2. So the vertical component of end abutments will be equal to 2R sin theta by 2. Now according to thin cylinder theory, this horizontal force of water is going to take by the vertical component of end abutments. So we can equate this particular equation and this equation. At the end you will get R equal to W into H into R, where capital R is the reaction at end abutment, W is the unit weight of water, small h is the height of water, and small r is the radius to the extra dose of the arch dam. Now again moving to the continuation, we got the equation, the end reaction is equal to W into H into R. Now the maximum compressive stress in concrete or in any material, that will be equal to the reaction divided by where small t is the thickness of the arch dam. Again remembering you, see this is the thickness of the arch dam. So we will get the maximum compressive stress sigma will be equal to, instead of capital R we can substitute this WHR divided by T. I told you in the beginning, we are going to calculate the thickness of the arch dam. So, if F is the allowable compressive stress in the material, instead of this sigma, you can substitute this as F. So, you will get the final equation for thickness is equal to WHR divided by F, where F is the allowable compressive stress. So, concluding the thin cylinder theory, according to thin cylinder theory, the thickness of the arch is equal to WHR divided by F. Now going to the next portion, that is central angle for minimum concrete. From the previous session, you got the equation for thickness. And from this equation, it is very clear that thickness is directly proportional to radius of curvature, that is small r. Also from this equation you know that thickness is directly proportional to water depth, that is small h. Now the volume of concrete per unit height will be equal to, you know that basically volume will be equal to a length into area. Here the length is arc length. If you use the equation angle equal to arc by radius, then arc length will be equal to, cross multiplying, arc length will be equal to r theta. So length into area will give you volume of concrete per unit height, where A is the area of arch. Since it's the case of arch dam, we are taking the arc length. Also you know that the area will be always proportional to the thickness, and from this statement it is written that the thickness is directly proportional to r. So here we can conclude that area is proportional to r. And to avoid that constant of proportionality, we can use a new constant, that is k. So you will get area directly proportional to r, and area will be equal to k into r. So again coming back to this equation, volume of concrete per unit height will be equal to r theta into, instead of a we can substitute a equal to kr. So this equation will be r theta kr. Rearranging this equation, volume of concrete per unit height will be equal to, this r into r will be r square, so k theta r square. Now from the figure means our previous figure used in thin cylinder theory. If you take sine theta by 2, sine theta by 2 will be opposite side, that is L by 2 divided by hypotenuse is small r. So from figure, sine theta by 2 equal to L by 2 divided by r, means L divided by 2r. Cross multiplying this r and sine theta by 2, this equation will changes to this format, r equal to L divided by 2 sine theta by 2. Now again substituting the equation of r in our previous volume of concrete per unit height equation, instead of this r we can substitute this r equation. So the equation will be k theta, instead of r square let's put this quantity square. Again squaring and taking terms outside, you will get k into this L square is taken outside, and 2 square, that is 4, is taken outside, and this theta is taken inside the bracket. Theta divided by sine square theta by 2. We know that for a minimum quantity, the derivative of volume with respect to the variable should be equal to 0. If you see the entire term, the only varying quantity is central angle theta. So let's take derivative of volume with respect to theta and it is equal to 0. Now we are going to take the derivative of this quantity, that is volume quantity, with respect to theta. Taking the derivative according to the quotient rule, you will get this equation and that is equal to 0. While solving this equation, you will come across the final result, tan theta by 2 equal to theta. And if you trial and error and trying to find out the angle theta, finally you will get the central minimum angle theta will be equal to 133 degree 34 minute. That is why in the previous session, that is constant angle arch dam, it was written there the central angle for minimum concrete should be equal to 133 degree 34 minute. It's a very important derivation in exam point of view. Now moving to the last topic of limitations of thin cylinder theory. First one, the arch sections are not thin cylinders. Also, they are not free at end abutments. Actually, in thin cylinder theory, this is taken as an assumption, but actually that is not the case. Now, the provision of shearing and bending stress in thin cylinder theory is not taken. While discussing the thin cylinder theory, the entire concept was derived and expressed in terms of water pressure. This shearing and bending stress was not taken. Also, this particular thin cylinder theory analysis is purely based on water pressure. Temperature stresses and ice thrust is not considered. Next one, fourth one, the shrinkage of concrete is not accounted in thin cylinder theory. And the last one, stresses due to rib shortening and yielding of abutments not considered in thin cylinder theory. These are the 5 points to explain the limitations of thin cylinder theory. So with that, we came to the end of the portion arch dam, and our upcoming portion in lecture number 5 will be earthen dams. Thank you.